This
What's up, man? You staying
conference
busy?
will now be recorded.
Oh,
Hey, you staying busy, man?
say it again.
I said you staying pretty busy.
Yes, sir.
Good. Got the collar on, man. You look like you're ready for business. Look at you,
I'm a businessman.
a businessman. Boy, showing a little chest hair and everything. Don't button it up. It's all good.
Just realized I'm gonna button this up.
All right. So, well, I guess you have a pretty busy day. I want to make sure I got, yeah. Okay. I like that. I got a chair like that at the house.
Yeah.
So, and I think I'm trying to think of the time. So my redshirt freshman year, I think, is when you were finishing up. If I'm not, I came in 94-ish. I think you were just about finishing up.
No, that was my sophomore year.
Was it?
Yeah, I got there in '93 and graduated in '97.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, sure do. Huh. Well, cool. Cool. All right. Well, man, again, I thanks for appreciate you, for doing this and taking the time. I really do. And let me just kind of go ahead and hit my intro real quick here. Hey everyone, what's up? This is Pat Brown, financial advisor with Edmonds Duncan out of Lawrence, Kansas. Played football for the University of Kansas years and years and years ago. Loved my time there, enjoyed it. Met a number of great people there, and became very passionate about working with student athletes as far as student literacy, financial student literacy. And so I wanted to do a series of videos working with former student athletes and kind of help current student athletes look at what they've done well and done bad as far as their successes and failures. And so, having said that, I want to real quick read the definition of financial literacy. It's the possession of a set of skills and knowledge that allows an individual to make informed, effective decisions with all their financial resources. And Scott, a lot of times the reason I read that is just because I think a lot of student athletes have this connotation that financial literacy means that, not the brightest, or perhaps whatever their definition of that is. I think it has a negative connotation. So I look at it as a way of saying that the habits that we form as student athletes are very, very similar to what the habits of becoming more financially literate is. Just habit, crittles habits over and over. So having said that, I want to go ahead and introduce my man, Scot Pollard. And so I had to do a little cyber stalking of you, man. And again, wasn't that hard. So Scot Pollard, Samurai Scott, ranks fourth in Kansas history with 218 block shots, ranks eighth in KU history with 850 career rebounds, among KU's all-time leaders in career free throws and attempts. Honorable mention, All-America in 1997, second team All-Big 8. That was back in the day before we became Big 12. In 1996, and selected in the first round of the 1997 draft by the Detroit Pistons, and won a ring with the Boston Celtics in 2008, and finished eighth in Survivor, being the ninth person voted off. What is up, Scot Pollard?
Hey, thanks for having me on, Patrick. When you mentioned some of those things, it feels like it was just yesterday, but really, I got a 22-year-old, and so I think back like, wow, time is flying.
Time is flying. Time is flying. So yeah, well, so obviously, it's kind of one to, hopefully we have a number of student athletes that are watching or listening to this, and again, the hope is that we're creating those habits, at least starting them early, so it'll be more beneficial once they leave the university, whatever university they're at. And so one of the first questions right off the bat is just kind of tell me about your thoughts about money as you came in your freshman, sophomore year. Things dealing with savings, budgeting, credit. Was that something that you were familiar with coming in, or how did that work?
I was familiar with having no money at all. My dad passed away when I was 16 years old. I signed my letter of intent for the University of Kansas when I was 17 years old. I was living with my friends at times in high school. I was living with my oldest brother, took us in for part of my senior year, and then after basketball ended my senior year, Again, I had already had a letter of intent for the University of Kansas. I was in Washington State at that point. I wanted to go back to San Diego and graduate high school with my friends. And so I went back down there, graduated high school with my friends, was able to scrape together enough money to pay for an apartment. So I lived in an apartment for a month. I got a job down there before I was able to go to the University of Kansas in Lawrence. And so I really was on my own. My parents, even before my dad had passed away, at times were on government assistance. We had a lot of help from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. My whole family is Mormon. People brought us food at times. I went to bed hungry quite a bit in high school. And so I knew that money was something that I never had. And
Yeah.
Even when I was in college, I was on full scholarship, but I had no money coming from home. And as you well know, you can't get a job and go
Yeah.
earn some money. And I wasn't one of those guys that got paid to go to college. So I had to take summer jobs. I never left Lawrence. I stayed there. I worked at Alvamar, which is now the Jayhawk Club,
Yeah.
as a cart boy, making minimum wage in the summer. I did some basketball camps with Coach Bob Chipman at the University of Washburn. We would travel around, driving around the whole state, doing basketball camps, trying to make some money. I mean, I sent money home to my mom
Wow.
because my oldest brother was not, financially independent himself. He was working, trying to provide for his family, and he had the additional responsibility of taking care of my mother. And so I was sending money there from the little money I could scrape together in college. So to answer your short question in a long form, which I've just done, Patrick, I would say that mine was very much a learning process as I went, of learning how to be fiscally responsible. No credit cards. No, not one. Didn't have a credit card in college. Not one. We didn't even have email. I wasn't trusting anything.
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah, that was the beginning of email. I remember going
Yeah,
to
it was.
the center and they were like, "Hey, we have this thing called an email address." I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm just a
Yeah, I'm
simple."
good. I remember. Yeah, that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Let you know our age. Um, so even from were you even familiar with anything dealing with investments or, obviously at that age, who really is, but I didn't know if you were exposed to that through someone in university.
No, I was busy, as I said, just trying to get some money and have some in my bank account. I did get federal assistance in college as well during the school year, the Pell Grant. I don't know what they're called now. I don't know if it still exists, but
I think so.
it was our version of a welfare check or whatever you want to call it. But I remember getting those and doing my best to try to save that, spread that money out during the season because there was no other way to have money in. And so it really was just a matter of putting in my checking account, hang on as much as I could, steal as much food as I could from the credit table. We'd go and get the free meals, and I would take it to go box for fourth meal. When my friends were ordering shuttle or whatever, I
Yeah.
was trying to, sometimes they treat me. I'm not saying that I was starving in college. I never
Right.
was.
Right.
But trying to make ends meet. In investing, nah, I didn't have any. I didn't have two pennies to put into anything besides that. Had I been a little bit more intelligent, maybe I could have tried to scrape some more together and
Sure.
put some aside. But really, I was just gambling on getting to the next level, getting my degree, which I did in 4 years. I graduated actually just a few credits shy of a master's degree in education. I was going to teach high school, and that's when the big bucks rake in, is when you're a high school teacher, as everybody knows.
Everybody. That's right. Big time. Big baller right there, boy. Okay. So looking back, and honestly, you probably already touched on this, but what were the worst financial decisions that you made, and what were some of the best? Now, I say you touched on because it was obvious that you're stretching that penny as far as you possibly could, but I didn't know if anything came to mind as far as maybe a bad decision that you had made in college.
In college, I would say that the bad decisions were, uh, gosh, it's hard for me to think of something where I felt bad spending money on something
Right,
because
right.
I have enough to waste. There was a lot after college that I made mistakes in, but I would say that um, if your family's okay, and my family would have been okay without me sending money back,
Hmm.
But I just felt like it was part of my responsibility to help take care of my mom. But if your family's okay, I think it's very fair and it's very intelligent for any student athlete to learn the word no. It's just fine to say no. I can't help you out. I don't need to sacrifice my own well-being in school to help you. Whatever your situation is, you're an adult, even if it's little siblings or friends, uh, I would say that no is a very important word for any student athlete to learn, whether it's saying no to your friends going out, saying no to your friends, saying, hey man, let's just go spend some money at the restaurant or the club or whatever, or
Yeah.
it's saying to your family, no, I'm sorry, I don't have the time or I don't have the money to help you out because I'm busy working about my future. I'm working on my future as an athlete and as a student, and I need 100% of the focus on myself. And so I would say no is a very important word for any student athlete to learn in relation to telling other people that it's okay to protect yourself and your boundaries and saying, no, I don't have time for you and I don't have time to help you out. I'm busy making me the best me I can be.
So you hit on something that's very, very big. I know a lot of athletes, regardless of what sport, football, basketball, what have you, run into that same exact problem. Still helping family, back from wherever they're from. So to hear you say that, I mean, that's powerful. So yeah, hopefully again, if guys and girls are listening to this, I hope they take heed to that. Again, this question you probably already kind of touched on it as well, but looking back at college now, what do you wish you would have done different in regards to dealing with money? Would it be something like, more or less saying no, or was it what would you kind of think?
Um, I did a good job of saving up money to get a car, and I finally my senior year I got a car, and it
The
was good.
Cadillac, right?
Yeah, that old piece of junk, Marvin.
Yeah.
That thing, it was bad. I think I could have done without it,
Yeah.
uh, and been okay without a car. It was a nice luxury to have, and it didn't cost much. I think it was about 1,100 bucks or something like that. It was not a real expensive car, but it took me a while. It took me 3 years to save up enough money on the side from just living in college uh, to be able to save up enough money to buy that car. So, um, but on the other hand, I think it was something that gave me pleasure and gave me something that I had accomplished financially because
Yeah.
I gave myself that discipline to save. And so I guess you could say that's the answer to one of your previous questions, Patrick.
Yeah.
Did I do something financially that I think was a positive? Yeah, I think it was me setting money aside as long as I could, when I could, and then finally I had enough money to buy a piece of crap car. But at least I was on my own, and I didn't have to rely on friends for rides and getting here and
That
getting there.
was your piece of crap.
It was my piece of crap.
That's
You
right.
can nobody else could call it that. Everybody else had to call it Marvin, but I could call it piece of crap.
That's right. That is right, man. Um, so habits that you formed in college. What habits have you formed in college that affected life after college, or has there been any habits? Because it sounds like, just listening to you, the habits that you formed are really to your benefit. I mean, for you to put away money to buy, a car, be able to send money back. I mean, at that age, I mean, that's to me, that's like, wow, I didn't have to go through that.
Well, again, it was more out of necessity than me planning it out and being smart with money. It was more just me going, look, I don't have much, but I owe everything to my family. And while I did have to say no on occasion because I needed to make sure I could eat, um,
Right.
that it was something that I never wanted to forget where I had come from and who had helped me get to where I am. But it's a fine line there, as I was saying, with learning the word no to
Yeah.
some of those people that helped you get to where you are, even as a student athlete. It's really hard to say no to some of those coaches that stayed after, and whether they rebounded for you or put you through some running drills or tackling drills or whatever on their own. Uh,
Yeah.
and they are saying that some of them had their hands out even when I was in college, and I was sitting there going, look, I appreciate everything you did, thank you, but I don't owe you a job, I don't owe you a living for you volunteering to help me do what I do. So
Yeah.
um, I wish that I had been a little bit more disciplined when like I was in college. having gotten to the NBA, because the obviously the decimal places moved a lot, and there was commas in those paychecks. And so when you're dealing with that amount of money, the one thing I did very well, I think, is I was lucky enough to interview a lot of people to be my money managers, and I was lucky enough to pick one that was trustworthy. And on top of that, I had him audited several times because
Hey,
I'm sure he knows that we only trust each other as long as he's trustworthy. And so we're still in business together to this day. We have Champion Financial, um, and he manages all the money. I don't do any of that part of it, but it's small. It's not a big company. He's based out in Maryland. But the lessons I learned in college of living within my means, no credit cards, not going out there and trying to get a nice car my freshman year. I waited until I could afford a piece of junk. And so that did carry over, Patrick, to when I was in the NBA, my first contract. I didn't go buy a Ferrari. I
yeah,
I leased actually from Crown Toyota from Miles Schneer. I leased a Chevy Tahoe. I didn't buy anything because I didn't know if I could afford to buy it. I got a 3-year lease because I had a 3-year NBA contract. And as soon as my rookie year was over, I bought a house in Lawrence, Kansas that I could afford if I never got another NBA contract. And I ended up being a school teacher at the end of my rookie year or my rookie contract. That I could afford that house. I could pay that house off.
yeah,
And that was one of those lessons I learned in college was staying within my means, living with what I know I have coming in. So that house that I first bought in Lawrence, that easily could have been paid off, and it was. I paid it off with my rookie contract. And so
mhm,
had I never gotten another NBA contract, I had a house that was paid for in Lawrence, Kansas. I ended up buying that Tahoe from the lease. I paid
yeah,
for it out and kept it. And I had it for years and years until I ended up selling it to one of the Kansas basketball players for, I don't know, like 10 years later, I think I kept that car.
yeah,
And I sold that a long time later. And there was a big scandal about it because uh, stuff happened. He hadn't put the car in his name yet. Uh, and so he let it out to somebody and they got in a traffic ticket or got pulled over or something. And it was still in my name. So people thought I hadn't, like I just gave it to
gotcha,
him. There was a
yeah,
document trail through compliance. Everything was legal. I sold it to him. But, we got that all cleared up. But anyway,
yeah,
um, living within my means, I think would be the biggest lesson that I learned uh, in college that transferred over to my financial life as an adult and as a father and a husband. Wish that divorce hadn't siphoned off a whole bunch
yeah,
of my work for, but the way I look at it is it was an investment in my children. I could have walked away with a lot more money and walked out of my children's lives. I have three kids with my first wife, and that was an easy decision. I spent way too much money and gave way too much money away so
yeah,
that I could be in my children's life, and that's why I live here in Indiana. Their mother lives right down the road in a house I gave her, and we have a ridiculously odd custody arrangement. And that is that costs a lot of money, and that's just the way it is. The rules are the way they are, and I got around the rules because I paid a lot of money.
gotcha, gotcha. All about the kids, man.
Yes.
So, um, that's a great answer. Great answer. So, and then we're kind of getting towards the end here. So, what are some of the pitfalls that you would hope your story could prevent to the young student athletes out there that, again, are hopefully watching? What would you tell a young Scot Pollard or anyone in any sport, um, student athlete wise?
Uh, Mine's more about personal behaviors. I have no idea, Patrick, you don't either have any idea what it's like to be in college right now with a camera in your face everywhere you go, no matter what you're doing.
Right.
So your personal behavior as a student athlete now is something I could never speak on with any kind of intelligence because we didn't have to deal with the level of social media that you guys, it didn't exist.
Right. Yeah.
So, uh, but along those lines, I can tell you that your behavior when people are filming you, because they most certainly are, your
Hmm.
behavior when nobody's looking or when you think nobody's looking is going to be what defines you. And as an athlete. should know that by the time you're in college. You should know if you got recruited in any way, shape, or form. You know that your behavior when you thought no coach was looking, is what helped you get recruited.
Yeah.
Your behavior when things aren't going well is what is going to make you as successful as an athlete. So, what do you think that's going to do for you as a student or as somebody that wants to be financially secure and make intelligent decisions? You need to educate yourself enough or have good habits when you think nobody is looking. When you think, oh, you know what, it's fine to just go ahead and go shopping and use the credit card, even though I don't know how I'm going to pay it off. That would you do that on the court? Would you do that on the field? Would you say, you know what, I'm going to sell out the team's plan on defense here. I'm just going to go try to sack the quarterback. I know I'm a safety, but I'm not going to, or I'm the quarterback and I'm just going to try to run this, even though the play is screen pass across the middle and I'm going to throw the ball. You know, you don't make selfish decisions as a teammate or as an athlete. So you need to make decisions about your future. Be selfish enough about your financial future that you're going to be selfish enough to make the right decisions for your financial future.
Again, great answer, man. Great answer. So, and this is kind of going, I guess, after college, because you obviously did play in the league for a little while, and again, you touched on this as well. But as far as once you did start making a little bit of money after your rookie contract, how did that go? I mean, from a, I don't know if I want to say from a tax standpoint, but just, I guess, budgeting. I mean, I know everything kind of transitioned as far as living well below your means. Did that kind of go well for you then? I mean, obviously it looks like it has.
Well, yes. When you have the discipline to live within your means, not necessarily below your means, but within your means, and if you can live below your means, obviously you'd want to do that. You don't have to have a brand new car all the time. I choose to because I don't like dealing. I can't fix a car. I can't change a tire. I mean, I can change a tire, but I'm too spoiled. Right? At least I know my shortcomings.
Right, right.
I'd much rather, if my house needs to be painted, I'd rather pay someone to do it right. Well, I make the decisions to keep myself in a position that I can afford to pay someone to do that, so that I can keep working on myself and my family and my income, doing the things I know how to do, which is right now it's real estate. So I spend more money learning, more time investing in my real estate career, so that I can keep providing for my family and be able to pay someone else to do something I don't know how to do or I don't want to do, because I have the ability to have somebody else do it.
So that's okay. I was just going to say, so that's actually a good transition. I was going to say, so obviously after KU, after your NBA career, kind of tell the guys what you're doing now. Obviously, real estate is the main thing right now.
Well, you mentioned Survivor. I've done that. I've been in a couple small movies with Kevin Wilmot, KU professor out there. He wrote and directed a couple of those, and he actually wrote and directed the screenplay for my movie that I produced, and I starred in that one. So I've done that, and none of those made any money for me. but those were life experiences, right? And so I learned that my experience in the movie industry was going to cost me a lot of money and probably a move to LA so I could actually be in the area where they're making movies. Trying to do it from Kansas or even here from Indiana, you're trying to do something that just logistically is impossible. So I learned that, and then it led me to real estate. The Survivor thing, was kind of a, hey, you know what, bucket list. Why not? Do something that very few people get to do. And now, as I put more and more roots down here in Indiana, real estate has become something that I fell into because of investments, because of buying and selling houses in 7 different states, because of moving around the NBA, renting, buying commercial properties, selling those in different states, because of the different investment opportunities I've had over the years. So after a while, I was like, gosh, why didn't I get my real estate license 10 years ago? Like right after I retired, why did I not get my real estate license? Because it doesn't cost much to do. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's the hardest thing to do. It doesn't cost much for anyone. I'm telling my kids to get their license right now, just because you're avoiding the fees. Even if you only do one transaction, it's your own house. Why? You're saving 3% on the purchase of your home by doing your own transaction. That's a big number For almost every human, especially American on the planet, buying or selling your house is the biggest financial decision you're ever going to make.
Right.
So I tell people, I never look at people are like, why would you say that? You're undercutting your own business or clientele if you're telling people to get their license. Because I learned the hard way, and I'm not trying to be selfish. I have plenty of clients that I deal with. I'm not trying to be selfish about my business, what I do now. I try to encourage other people to do the same, save money. I spent all that money on commissions of all those investments I made over the years. I finally thought, hey, maybe get your license. So again, I learned from the school of hard knocks my own unwillingness or willingness, whichever way you want to look at it, to try something new. And that's what led me to real estate. And now my partner is, his name's Joe Kempler, and we are partners. He's the managing broker. We have our own little firm here called Westcliff Realty, right here in our neighborhood where we live. We service the entire Indianapolis area, but we focus on where we live up here on the north side. And it's been an incredible learning experience. And it's also making a few dollars, which is nice.
Yeah.
That also is good.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's not bad at all. Well, that's cool. That's cool, man. So I guess the very last important question is that Carolina Reaper, man. How did that come out, man? Did it come out the other one?
And everybody was worried about the second half of that experiment, and really, I was fine.
Okay.
Going in was way worse than the other way.
Okay.
Without being too graphic about it, I do eat a lot of spicy food. Mrs. Pollard is half Thai and half Italian, so basically that's why I weigh 310 pounds. They know there's a food pushing culture there on both sides that I cannot deal with. I can't say no. There's just always more food. But she cooks a lot of spicy food, so I'm used to that. And apparently the Reaper was no match for my iron stomach. Did I go more often the next day? Yes. There was no pain involved. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be like lava. No, it just, there was just a little more often just to get it out. It was just like, train leaving the station, better find that place. But other than that, nah, it was fine.
All right. Okay. I like it. I like it, man. Well, shoot. That is it, man. Like I said, I definitely appreciate your time. You hit on some good nuggets, man. Some good stuff. So I hope these student athletes listen.
Well, I hope so too. We never want them to make the same mistakes we made, right?
That's right. That is right.
Hey, thank
All
you for
right, man.
doing.
Well, next time you're in Lawrence, man, let me know.
I will, and thank you for doing what you're doing. I think it's really important. I appreciate that, man.
Absolutely, man. You take care of yourself. Rock chalk.
All right, rock shot. Bye,
Yes,
Patrick.
sir. Bye-bye.